Hi, and welcome to the Unknown Secrets of SEO podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of the Unknown Secrets of SEO.
It is great for you guys to join us today. We really appreciate you attending podcast number 64. I would say that I'm very sorry that these podcasts, as of late, have been showing up late.
But you're not?
No, because we're watching the World Cup. Speaking of the World Cup, probably the biggest announcement, or whatever, you probably want to move a little closer, the biggest announcement ever. U.S. went through in the last, in a minute of overtime.
91 minutes with 4 minutes of overtime.
Unbelievable.
That was phenomenal. So what's up to Landon Donovan?
Woo!
In case you happen to be watching.
Yeah. we appreciate your efforts, dude.
That's awesome. Might even buy your jersey, fool. Might.
Oh man, that was. I was telling everyone, I do not get emotional about sports events at all.
Hey, that was definitely worth it.
That was just amazing, absolutely amazing. As always, we like to talk about what we talked about last time. In fact, we're actually going to talk about a little bit of what we talked about last time because we didn't finish what we talked about last time, and that was the top 10 mistakes that you can make in SEO.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that. That is what we talked about that
last
time.
Being a douche.
Yeah, don't be a douche.
That is typically
being
your first mistake of being a douche.
Yeah.
With your website.
Douchiness. Mistake number 1. Douchiness really should be cleaned up. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a note here about a video. I don't even know what that means. So we'll go on to the next piece of news. Chrome actually incorporates Flash now.
How cool is that? I didn't know that.
Well, there was always a Flash component that you could down. Chrome put Flash in the browser.
Okay.
So I'm sure it's got some sort of methodology for updating it regularly, et cetera, et cetera. That is what's up.
That is.
Continuing on your, in particular, Yahoo rant, Larry Cornett, an exec with Yahoo, left. Yeah.
So who works there now? John and Bill. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and Bill sends out the bills. John drinks a lot.
Yeah.
Another point, Nintendo at the E3, which is Electronics 3 Expo or something, I guess. Nintendo 3DS stole the show. They just apparently was the most.
Have a new system coming out?
Yeah, it's the DS ones.
Oh, the flip up.
Yeah, exactly. And all I can say is, well, they probably didn't see my phone there. Because I have the Sprint Evo and it rocks.
This over the past weekend, I was visiting some family. My aunt goes, there's an adult Nintendo NES coming out, and I was like, for real? Because I'm thinking, adult, and she was like, no, fool, it's for adults, I'm thinking adult content.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, are you serious?
Is it preloaded? How much does this cost? Is there a monthly fee involved? Because there's a lot of stuff out there for free.
This is awesome. She's like, no, it actually has games designed for people.
So what is the etiquette on a plane when the guy next to you is watching something and all you hear is boom chicka chow chow?
Do you have an extra headphone jack?
Dude, I can't see. Turn your screen my way. Come on. That girl looks kind of like that girl over there. Hey, is this you?
So, anybody's listening or watching, there is no adult content NES. That was my mistake.
There should be, though.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to say that there should be. This is pretty interesting. There is a dude right now. Go to davidondemand.com. The dude will do anything that you tweet him to do.
What?
It has to be legal. That's the only caveat. And he will do anything that you tweet him to do. This was apparently some arrangement he has with his boss. He's in the press, and he wanted to go to Cannes for some festival. It wasn't the film festival. And the boss was like, you know what? You can go. But you have to agree to do everything they tweet and tell you to do.
For how long?
The week that he's there.
Oh, wow.
So I pulled it up. There was a beautiful shot. Of course, he turns it off while he's sleeping in the shower. But there was a beautiful shot of the beach. I mean, just gorgeous. And I was thinking, dude, clean the window.
That's cool. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, and that's David on Demand. Now, when we started this podcast, we had no idea that we were going to have listeners.
Other than each other.
And we certainly didn't, and we don't listen. And,
Really.
and we certainly didn't think that we'd have like a listener and watcher who would be so participatory, who would actually create an icon a logo for our podcast.
Oh, that's sweet.
Who would actually create a video, like a commercial video for our podcast.
Yeah, like that was awesome.
Really, Darren Bowie, that is amazing. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate what you've done. You know, for those of you who listen regularly, we interact with Darren on a regular basis. I think it's just because apparently, remember he asked a question about 2 weeks ago that we haven't got around to answering yet? I got it here, don't worry. Maybe he's just trying to push us to get the answers. Anyway, the video, you can find it. By the way, you can find us and stalk us and all that. First, you can find the video on facebook.com/ewebstyle. And then you'll see it in the videos. It's one of the most recent entries right now.
And what is the name of that software he used? Because I'd never heard of it until Darren.
Prezi.com. Prezi.com. And Darren does another really amazing video using that software. You can find that one at twitter.com/saveusgoogle. And you can find a link to that video. And it's really an amazing 2-minute video. He said he put together in about 45 minutes.
Okay.
And it's awesome.
Yeah,
so
I do remember that.
When we do any presentations, we will probably be using that Prezi software. And I think I asked him, how long did it take and all that, and that's when he put together the video for us. Thank you, Darren. You can find Darren at darrenbooey.eu. DARRENBOOY.EU. I didn't want to get that wrong. And apparently he was listening to our last podcast and he wanted to clear up a little misconceptions that there may have been. First it says, I am from Welsh. I think he means I am Welsh. From Wales. And
which is
part of the UK.
Okay.
All right. I grew up on Oxfordshire, England, which is in Englandish area.
Okay.
And he now lives in Eindhoven, Netherlands. So he's a pretty international guy by American standards.
Man, that's what's up, man. Too bad y'all are. They didn't make it.
I don't
think they made it. Yeah. Sorry about that, Dan.
Well, it's still England. Yeah.
Okay.
Wales didn't. England, he could be cheering for, maybe. I don't know. Probably. Okay. So he was wondering if we could address the question we had before. And he asked about having too many keywords but in different languages. How would Google rank this? He has about 5 keywords for the page in English, but the same in French, German, and Dutch. How would Google rank this? Now, actually, the first time I read this, I thought the answer was kind of obvious. You should have a page, and we talked about this. You should have a page. In general, if you're in, we said specifically, if you're in France and you're marketing to French, to French people, you should definitely have your website in French, right? That's just a no-brainer, because the French people you're marketing to will search in French most probably.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, even if your web page came up and it's in English, and that's not what they want, they're just going to bounce.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the fact of them finding them. That's one. We always talk about SEO, search engine visitor optimization. Step 2 is, okay, now that they come to your website, what are they going to do? But this is a little more interesting. It's talking about, okay, I've got a good page. It's optimized in English. I can put the words in French, German, and Dutch on it also. Interesting angle. And the total, complete, unadulterated answer is it only depends on your competition.
I'd say that.
Right.
I'd agree with that. I would also say, and this is just an educated guess from what I know about the a Google bot. The Google bot is intelligent enough to understand when you're just throwing words in there. I would probably recommend against throwing in a French word, a French keyword on an English page. Because I know that a Google bot will check in English, and because I typically read English because that's all I can read. If you put an English,
It's marginal.
yeah, really though. It's like I speak 3/4 of a language. If you put a blue one-arm widgets in a sentence, the bot is gonna check if it's gonna check a couple words before that keyword
Context.
and a couple words after to make sure that it makes sense. So if you just throw a French keyword into an English text, it's probably going to do the same thing. Check a couple words before and check a couple words after. It might make sense. But understand you might run it. It might not, and so that might be a challenge. So I would look out for something.
And also from our experience, we see some situations where at least regionalizing. So there's a lot of suburbs around Houston, and so of course our clients in and around Houston are interested in and tapping into the markets in those suburbs. And so we can, in some cases, just throw the name of the suburb in at the bottom of the page and get some reasonable page rank.
Okay.
Again, I think it really boils down to competition. If nobody has, again, if you're selling blue one-armed widgets, and there is no a French language page for blue one-armed widgets, and you put the blue one-armed widgets on your English page in French, you've got a pretty good opportunity to actually show up on the first position.
I'd say so. If no one else is optimizing, you could do I'd say probably whatever you want.
And as soon as somebody makes an all French page, I think Google's going to rank. Google, from a contextual basis, is going to give a lot more value to what they're doing than what you're doing.
Definitely.
So yes, you may have mentioned it. And again, let's go back to the experience. Just because you get them to your page, I try not to assume that everyone speaks English. If they get to your page because you do have the word in French or Dutch, and all you have is English on the page, then are you really doing that yourself that much of a service?
I personally would bounce. If I went to a page that was in French and I see one English term, which was the term that I'm looking for, I'd probably bounce. Well, mainly because I don't speak that language.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. So in general, it's all about competition. Yes, it could be valuable, and at the end of the day, we really think that you shouldn't mess with that. He also asked, have we checked out WordPress 3.0? Looks really good from a search engine optimization navigation standpoint. We haven't checked it out.
I definitely have not. But I did read that when I showed you the top CMS things, the top rankings of CMS, that WordPress was like top 5, I believe, in terms of SEO.
And WordPress didn't used to be considered CMS. It was considered a blog
software, right?
So they're really up in their game, and I think you can even get shopping cart modules and stuff for WordPress now.
So if you're looking for a great CMS, then we and Darren co-signed it. WordPress is a good CMS.
Yeah, we use Joomla as a CMS, and we use WordPress typically for our blog. So we're kind of a, if you will, a Joomla WordPress house, and would be happy to use either one of those for those purposes. So again, thank you very much, Darren Bowie. And again, one of the things, what has he done? He's done a number of things. He's gone to iTunes, he's created an account, and he's submitted a review about us.
He built a logo and a presentation.
He built a logo and a presentation. You don't have to do all of those. You can choose any two and do any two of those for us. So if you can skip the iTunes review, you can do a video and a logo for us. We really appreciate that. You can find us on Twitter, twitter.com/ewebstyle. I already gave out a Facebook page. I will do it again, facebook.com/ewebstyle. We usually video cast this podcast live on Fridays at 9:15 Central Standard Time, and you can find that on Ustream. Easiest way to get to that page is ewebstyle.com/stream, and that'll automatically forward you to the Ustream page that is ours. You can also send us an email at podcast@e-webstyle.com. All right, so we've answered listener letters.
Top 10 mistakes.
Well, let's get back to the top 10 mistakes. Yeah, let's jump right in.
I think we covered about 5, maybe 6 of those last time.
6 out of 10 we covered. Yep.
Okay, what was the first? Targeting the wrong keywords.
Well, let's mention the first one because it is so important.
Yeah, keywords. Targeting the wrong keywords. Target the right keywords.
Yeah.
Duh.
Target the right keywords.
Yes. Make sure, don't just pick keywords. Make sure you do your research about the keyword before you pick it.
By the way, I wanted to mention this is very interesting. So you go into Google, you can type keyword selector tool. And I noticed this week that I copied and pasted one of our clients, who, by the way, the client for their 30 keywords, all but 2 are on the first page.
Oh, that's what's up.
It only took us 2 months to make that happen. 3 months, probably 3 months to make that happen. And the other 2 are looming, if you will. So I copied all the keywords, all 30 keywords. I pasted it in the Google keyword tool, and I got these results. And Google augments, says, oh, you might also want to consider this term, that term, whatever. In this case, it's the Orthopedic Surgery Center. One of the terms that they gave us, which was pretty good because it had high search volume and we hadn't caught it before, was sports injury doctor. Okay, so then in another browser where I'm actually signed into my AdWords account, I copy those same 30 keywords, paste it in, hit submit. I got different results. So the implication is I got different results either because of browser, probably not, or because in one case I was signed in and one I wasn't. By the way, in the one where I was signed in, sports injury doctor, which is a high value term in terms of number of searches, was not in the list. So
that's odd.
Even when you're doing keyword research, don't quit with one tool.
Yeah,
right.
I got you.
We tend to use multiple tools, multiple angles, whatever it takes. We'll talk to our friends, family. Hey, how would you search for this? And you get bizarre answers that are actually very relevant. Yeah. And the ones
people are weird. People search in different ways.
Totally different ways. Yeah. All right. So we wanted to mention that again. Let's move on to number 7. So this is mistake number 7 that people make in terms of SEO on their web pages, using only images for headers. People do that? Only images for headers. I was
like, because I'm thinking that's a problem. I'm stuck. I didn't want to say that, but I'm like, okay, I just put it out there. I didn't know.
Sorry. Images. What's wrong with images?
Google doesn't read them.
Right. So if your image is your header and it says something.
Okay, so I got you now. So yeah, if you're going to use your image as a header, how about you put a tag on that image?
At least. Yeah. How about you also include a text? How about, in fact, you figure out how to use CMS in a way so that you don't have to use an image, so that you can actually end up creating a text, something that Google can read.
Okay.
Because again, Google, who was it? I saw Matt Cutts talking the other day saying they thought about going through and parsing and doing OCR, optical character recognition, on all images, and then kind of tagging them so that they know what the text in the image is. And they said, you know what? I'm not going to do that.
Okay. I was like, for real?
They thought about it. I mean, it's something that they entertained. And they're like, you know what? If you're not using good web design standards, then you're not going to do well on our search engine.
Okay. That makes
Now,
sense.
why do they... This is one of the things, because this is... We all have this feeling that Google's manipulating us and causing us to do things and jump through hoops. In reality, Google's purpose is to provide a good user experience to the Google user. So imagine, this is a conundrum. Imagine that you've got the website that is the preeminent website with the most valuable information on blue one-armed widgets, and everything is in pictures, right? Google actually would like to show that. It's not that they don't want to show the website with pictures, it's just too hard for their robots to parse. But they actually would like to show that because that's the web page that Google can show its Google user that is the most valuable site. So it's interesting. But Google, it's not just that Google has all these rules and wants us to jump through hoops. It's just that Google's trying to provide a great experience to the Google user, and in doing so, they if we want to kind of conform to that and actually succeed in that environment, then we actually have to do the same thing.
Okay, I mean, pretty much Google sets the standard. So if they say this is what you need to do,
we do it.
It's a good idea to follow that.
Yeah, that's true. So at the end of the day, we're just jumping through hoops. So that's a big mistake, and really you should be using H1 tags and H2 tags and you can
Oh,
modify
that kind of header. Man, I'm lost. Okay.
Why did you say header? All right. So
I'm thinking like the banner that everyone always has at the top of their website.
Oh, yeah.
And I hear it called header, a banner, a this, a that. Okay, makes sense.
And it often is comprised of images for aesthetic reasons. And
I didn't know it was header tags. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, that also, but even the one across the top, if you've got text in there, you want to really seriously consider having it as actual text and not text in an image.
Okay.
The number 8 is ignoring URLs.
Like,
is this,
I mean,
is this 2 in a row that you don't have? Like, really? Is that a problem?
all the time.
I try not to look at
The
them,
first thing that comes to mind is ignoring your URL, especially if you're working with a CMS. You get these super long URLs that like, it's like XYZ dash equals ID 1024, and that makes, to me, that makes no sense, because I'm the kind of person that I will take a URL like bluearmwidgets.com / products / 2009 / fall season, and I will cut off the last 3 directories and go with
the home page.
Yeah, and I'll try to do so. I'll navigate pages like that, and that makes it difficult if you have just a string of characters and numbers and you can't figure out what goes in what folder.
Right. Well, and one of the points that they're making is, look, if it's a lot of content management systems will display particular pages based on, say, article number or content, whatever they want to call it, web page number and index number, and that can be a challenge, right? So all things being equal, you've got something that's in a CMS system that is all numeric, article number 65493, and the other one says article number Blue One on Widgets. All right. Well, Blue One on Widgets is actually in the URL, and if that's what you're searching for, they are going to have an advantage. So you can place well without the keywords in the domain name, without them in the domain and without them in the URL. You have an advantage, actually, 2-step advantage. 1, if they are in the URL, and 2, if they're in the domain name. So yeah, you do not want to ignore your URLs, and that's actually one of the comments that Darren Bowie was just making, is that it looks like WordPress is doing an even better job. They've always been pretty good. An even better job. Actually, when you turn on certain features, they've always been pretty good. And now they're doing an even better job with SEO URLs, so URLs for SEO.
Okay. So create SEO-friendly URLs, and don't be a douche and stuff a keyword in your URL if it's not doesn't pertain to it. I see that all the time.
Yep.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Don't be a douche.
Yeah, seriously.
I forgot to mention, right? We talk about SEO. We are the most popular SEO podcast on iTunes. We are also known as the Red Bull of SEO podcasts.
Why? Why are we known as the Red Bull of SEO podcasts?
Because if you go on iTunes and you look at our reviews, one of the guys says, yours is the only SEO podcast I can listen to on my drive to work and not fear I'm going to fall asleep.
Wow.
That sounds like Red Bull, right?
Red Bull. Yeah, we're giving you wings.
We are the Red Bull of SEO podcast, so don't you forget it. Number 9 mistake is called backlink spamming.
Backlink spamming. Okay, so throwing a bunch of links on a page, like link farming, kind of. That's what
it's
comes
kind of like posting on. We talk about this regularly. If you want to post
blog posting,
do post on blogs.
Yes.
Do post. I'm saying do, not do not. Do post on forums. Use links to your advantage so they come back to you, and don't be a douche when you post.
Yeah. And
there should be some sort of douche word that rhyme there. But
post on an SEO company's website. Hey, looked at your site. It looks great. I wonder if you thought about doing SEO. Check out my site.
And that's a douche.
Come on.
That's a douche with a capital D.
Yeah, really. Like, don't do that kind of stuff. And I love to read forums and community blogs and stuff, because that's how I learn new tips and tricks.
Penthouse forums.
Hey, I learned new tips and tricks. It's all about learning,
That was good.
And I'll follow those links, but it's obvious when someone is just trying to get that backlink love. So don't do that.
Yeah, and there's ways to do it right. And again, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is you're providing a good experience to the Google user, which is really a good experience to any user on the web. And if you're being a douche, then you're not providing a good user. There should be some sort of internet police to.
And then remember, like, where you get your backlinks from, it can have an effect on your
site.
On your site, if you're getting backlinks from crazy sites or sites with a bad reputation, you typically don't want those. So be careful where you put your links. And remember, backlinks are good. However, it's better that I would rather have 5 backlinks from a website with a page rank of 10 than 1,000 crappy 0 page rank links.
Yep.
That's just going to be more valuable. So be very careful about who, how, and when you link.
Yep. I don't know if you noticed, Aaron, I'm actually now drinking Cherry Zero, Coca-Cola Cherry Zero.
I didn't know that you were drinking Diet Coke.
It's not just Diet Coke. I don't know if I've upgraded. It tastes pretty good, actually. I don't know if I've upgraded. We really shouldn't do that unless we're getting paid.
Yeah, really.
We're not. Scratch that. I'm not drinking Cherry Zero until Coke pays me. And what do we have? Number 10, lack of keywords in the content.
Do I even have to comment on this one?
So, like, we say 2 things. Content is king, keywords. Now, we really have 2 kind of things that we're putting in place now. Context is important in content.
Yes.
And actually, it would be keyword context is important in content. Oh, that's hard to say.
I don't even know what that means.
Is that like a header?
That's a long phrase. I don't even know what that means.
Keyword context is important in content. So you can't just throw in keywords randomly, right? The context, the sentence needs to make sense. The logical flow of the paragraph needs to make sense. So the contextual nature, the context of using the keywords in the content is important.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you do that. And what this is saying actually is just make sure you have the keywords. That's step 1. Step 2 is make sure that you're using those keywords in the appropriate manner and you're not keyword stuffing.
Yeah. Read it yourself. Well, actually, I would say read it yourself, but you're going to be biased because you probably read your content a lot. Ask your buddies. Ask your mom, hey, read this. Does it make sense? What does this make you want to do? Does it make you want to leave? Would you stay here? Would you watch this? Ask, people in your office. Get different people's opinions on it. But if the majority is that, hey, it's if your context is not right or you're stuffing or you do something, people they're not going to want to stay. They're not going to want to visit. So watch out for that kind of stuff.
Content is king. Keywords.
Now here's something I can kind of back. I did a couple analysis those things
in a row,
and people had, and it was 2 in a row that I got, and people had phenomenal content. They had just pages and pages of content. But one thing I noticed is that he was getting tons of articles, great articles that were related to what he did. However, it wasn't. How can I explain this correctly? It was on his homepage. He had a lot of articles on his homepage, and you want to stay away from that. Because I said your homepage is your prime real estate. Rather than just stuffing it with random content and even articles that are somewhat related, you want to explain your business on your homepage. And that happened to 2 people that asked me for an analysis. It was just random because they're about 2 or 3 days apart, and both had lots of articles, great content, but was lacking in keywords, and it was not about their business. Their homepage content should be, you're selling your company. It's about what you do.
So they weren't executing proper SEO.
There you go.
Right? Search engine visitor optimization.
It was a great article. I definitely would have read the article. I enjoyed the information I got from the article, or from the articles. But when I was on their homepage, I actually forgot what.
While you were there.
Yeah, because I'm reading all these articles, and I was like, wait a minute.
So lack of call to action is one. Just lack of awareness of what you want the user to see when they come to your website. So again, search engine visitor optimization, SEO, S-E-V-O, is really important. So getting people to your website with those great articles is nice. Now, once they're there, you've got to be able to, frankly, manipulate the user into taking the next step or getting a white paper or submitting an email or whatever it may be, so that you can change that experience from just kind of a passive one to an interactive one. So get them to pick up the phone or something. You've got to have those calls to action.
There you go. And that perfect example of having lots of content, but I don't even know if I can't say it was not contextually right. That's what I was trying to go, but I don't think that's even right. I had lots of content, but it just wasn't partitioned or placed. It wasn't well placed.
It didn't have a plan.
Okay.
Right? Like a plan of attack for that website. Okay, I'm getting here because of this. What am I doing with them once they are here?
Yeah, once they're there.
And you guys are here. We appreciate that you are here. In fact, because you're here, we are the most popular SEO podcast on iTunes. We appreciate you listening. This is actually the end of our podcast, which is the end of podcast 64. I think it's 64. Yes, it's the end of podcast 64. We really appreciate you guys listening. Again, make sure if you get any good value out of this, just do us a small little favor. Add us to your blog. Mention us here. There are so many ways to find us and connect with us. On Facebook, you can find us facebook.com/ewebstyle, twitter.com/ewebstyle, ewebstyle.com/ustream, and youtube.com/ewebstyle. That's another one. So you can find us, follow us, email us, podcast@e-webstyle.com. Call us, 713-592-6724.
Keep your questions coming. If you run into a particular situation that you're either not comfortable with, you're not familiar with, or you just want a second opinion, send it on over. We'll be glad to help out.
We really appreciate you guys. We really appreciate you listening and watching, whoever's out there. Darren, England's going down.
And anyone that's listening in Ghana, you can stop. Just stop listening.
Yeah. Man, it took us so long to get. That's all right. We still got Botswana.
Both of you in Africa that are listening.
One of you stop. The other one keep listening.
Ghana's going down.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. This is the end of podcast 64. You're listening to the Unknown Secrets of SEO. My name is Chris Burris.
And I'm Paul Hansen.
Bye-bye for now.